Today I was going to talk about the rehab process. This will apply for a single family home or maybe even a multifamily up to 4 units. I have new investors asking me all the time, what's it going to cost to rehab this property, and so on and so forth. So, your biggest ticket items, as you probably already know, is remodeling or redoing the kitchen and bathrooms. So that's your first thing. But even before that, the biggest ticket items are your roof, your siding, electrical system, your plumbing system, your HVAC, and your hot water tank. So just to give you, and this, what is it, March 13th, 2023, these prices could change. Inflation is happening at a rapid pace. So, just do some research, but this is what, if I'm doing a quick analysis of a property, these are the numbers I'm using currently. So for a furnace, just assume that a furnace needs fully replaced, and then you're going to have to put in some duct work and things like that. It's probably going to be anywhere between, let's say, $2,000 to $3,000 for something like that. Okay, we're talking about a 80%, maybe even a high efficiency furnace. Well, most high efficiency furnaces nowadays are getting down to the price of 80% efficiency furnaces, but at the low end you're talking $2,000 to $3,000. Your hot water tank, they fluctuate too from time to time, but hot water tank, 40 gallons, probably about $500-600 plus another $500 to install, so figure about $1,000 for that. An electric panel nowadays is if you're going from fuse box or an old circuit breaker box to a new circuit breaker box, for your typical single family home, let's say it's probably around $600 to $700. And then if you're doing rewiring if needed, for GFIs in the kitchen and bathrooms, maybe just add a couple $100 to that. Your plumbing, that's really a crapshoot. If new drains have to be put in, and then you have to, if they have to jackhammer the cement in the basement to get to the main drain under the basement floor, and then your supply lines and all that kind of stuff to your kitchen, your bath, and then your outside spigots. Wow, that's usually a tough one. I would definitely budget maybe $2,000 to $3,000 just for that, just assuming that the whole system needs to be replaced. Because sometimes you have to go through walls, and then you're doing drywall work and things like that, because you have to open up the walls to get the pipes in. Especially if you have a 2-story home. If it's a ranch, you still might have to open up the walls to get into the pipes and things like that. So that's the plumbing system. A roof, typically for us, 1,500 square foot house, I would budget at least $10,000 to $15,000 for that. If it's a tear off and they need to replace plywood underneath and things, that could cause the price to go up. And man, I don't even know, a sheet of plywood nowadays is probably $60-70, maybe even more. So last time I did a roof, they were charging $65 a sheet, and that's not just for the materials, that's for them to take out the old sheet, put up the new sheet, that sort of thing. So just budget $15,000 for that. Siding, I wouldn't do. I would rather paint a house. That's cheaper if the wood siding is salvageable. But if you have to put vinyl siding, that's another $15,000. Hopefully your driveway doesn't need repaired or repoured, but I would do that in patches instead of the whole thing, because that's an expensive proposition to do. Again, I would just assume $10,000 for like a small driveway, maybe even patching it up. let's see, what else? The garage doors normally $300-400 plus labor, so figure $1,000 for that if you have to put a new garage door. And then same thing applies. You could budget that for the roof to include the garage at $15,000. Same thing with the siding or painting. If you're gonna paint a house like a 1,500 square foot house, it's probably gonna only cost you a couple grand, $2,000 to $3,000 to do that. So, and then every other miscellaneous things. We haven't talked about windows. We haven't talked about cosmetic stuff inside that you could do with light fixtures and all that stuff. But just figure your typical 1,500 square foot house, if you're gonna redo it to modern standards, and we're not even talking granite countertops, we're talking nice Formica countertops or butcher block countertops, your standard shaker cabinets in the kitchen and bathrooms, a tub with tile surround, and you want to make it nice. You don't want to do a rehab that's not something that you would not live in. And I'm not saying that, I mean, your standards might be way higher as far as materials and things like that, but you got to be comfortable putting somebody in there, and that if you're charging top dollar, that it is one of at least in that market. So I'm not saying, like I said, no granite countertops, no expensive cabinets, but your standard shaker cabinets, your standard Formica countertops with the bull nose, your standard faucet fixtures and light fixtures. I would budget minimum $40,000. Okay, and then anything above that might be because you're including like a roof that needs to be put on. So, and then you can even cut that budget a little bit further if you're looking to rent the place out and not resell the house. And so, so 40 to 50,000 in a rehab is what I would typically, in the Cleveland market right now, would budget. And then if those can't fit your return numbers when you do your analysis, then you just got to move on. And I'll be honest, it's very difficult. We're trying to purchase homes, whether it's single family up to however many units in an apartment building that we can handle, and it's not easy because some sellers are looking for top dollar for their properties, even if they're not remodeled or getting the top rents in the market, because they know that inventory is way down. So we might have to wait until inventory goes up, and that could be later at the end of this year when sellers really need to sell. I think everybody's holding out for one reason or another. The biggest reason is because interest rates and inflation. Sellers are weary about selling, but if you're a seller out there right now, is probably the best time to sell, because once the inventory bubble bursts, let's say, and all this inventory starts rushing into the market, then as the supply goes up, your price has to go down in order to sell. So right now is the best time to sell, in my opinion. It's a seller's market. Give us a call if you're looking to sell your single family home, your multifamily homes, your commercial properties. We have the experience over 25 years to handle any residential or commercial property.